Voices of Change!
Yeah!
Yay!
Oh, this is fabulous. Thank you.
Okay, now you guys got to listen to this song. Listen to this song. Oh, it's pretty good.
This was written by Tom. This was written by Tom Lehrer and sung about our Senator George Murphy.
What year about is this?
This was about 1973. At last we have a senator who can really sing and dance. We can't expect America to win against her foes with no one in the Senate who can really tap his toes. The movies that you've seen on your television screen show his legendary talents at a glance. Should Americans pick crops? George says no, 'cause no one but a Mexican could stoop so low. And after all, even in Egypt, the pharaohs had to import Hebrew braceros. Think of all the musicals we have in store. Imagine life in America in 1984.
Okay, so does anybody else want to say anything to cap off the night? How you feel about tonight, how things went, what you think about the future. Okay.
He's ready. We got him. He's hooked now. We're gonna make him famous, sir.
Okay, ready? Okay. This has been a great evening to learn about other people that were activists before me and after me. I've done this for the last 32 years, and growing up in Salinas in the early 60s and 70s, I never thought I'd be in a book like this. I never thought I'd meet presidents of the United States or people who ran for president, which I did numerous times. And I was in Washington when President Obama took his oath of office in 2009 with my brother. And, I've done a lot of this stuff because I wanted to make the world better. And I think in the long run I have, and all of the people in this book have done the same thing in their activism. And it's great to be part of that.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, okay, this is the good opportunity to say that, Haiti, don't leave. I have to be between two men? No, come on. Actually, okay, get serious in here. This is a time to say thanks to be alive, thanks to have the chance to join and to enjoy other people like myself live. Gary, thank you. You are one of the greatest campaign runners that I have met. I really thank you. Juan, you are a freaking noise maker that you did noise. You make a lot of freaking noise. And my good insane Mexican right there, Bill Freeman. Bill, you make a lot of changes in the Harnell board. That's a shame that you're not there anymore, but you guess what? You score big. A lot of Latinos, Mexican like you, are looking after you. Haiti, I never met you before, getting involved in the community, but just being here, I really appreciate it. And hear all of us, all about what we have done. And I never met you, Dean, but I'm glad to meet you right now. I listened to your song, to what you said, it makes sense. And I really appreciate that. And all of us, continue what we're doing. We can make more changes, and we need to bring more youth to get involved, to teach them what we know, even though we never got a teacher before. We just jump into it, helping people, defending people, and that's nice. Even though I was born in Mexico, I believe this is my country. That's why I defend people, and I would love to keep doing it. So thank all of you. Gary, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Well, one thing we didn't have a chance to say tonight was, almost everybody that was interviewed for the book were asked,
well, where did you learn how to mobilize people or public opinion or organize people? And everybody, almost to the person, said, well, there was no one taught me. I just did it. You know, I mean, Nelson Mandela said that. I mean, Tony said that. Tony's alphabetically the first person, but he's one of the better interviews because it's so clear. I mean, everybody just, you know, it's just sheer emotion. You just decide you're foolish enough to think you can change the world. You know, you just need a few other people. So you go out and you try and you have successes, you know, and you have things that aren't successful, you know. And as we know, it's an ongoing struggle. And all we can do is love each other, be kind to each other, because we're not the enemy. The enemies we hardly ever see. We never see those motherfuckers. It's always, you know, we argue amongst ourselves, that's fine, you know, because it's conflict generated, you know, and sometimes that may create medical conditions. I don't know. Some of us up here have had medical conditions. It could be a lifetime of, you know, of fighting the system, you know, and you'll end up with you know, problems medically, you know, because you just can't stand the world the way it is, because you know we can do better. We as a species, and it's really the only thing that counts. You know, going to the moon doesn't mean anything. The internet doesn't mean anything. The only thing that's really important is changing the heart and soul of human beings so they're kind to each other. The rest is bullshit. You know? So
Thank you, Gary. That was well said. I wish I could talk in those terms, but we're having an opportunity to say a few words. So I want to thank Gary for prompting me and Karen to get involved with this. You know, Gary's been involved for a long time, and as you know, we put together the Bracero Memorial Highway, the three of us, and then we have more people, Tony and other people. Tony's been involved with the Bracero movement for years and years, doing immigration work, and Bill Freeman standing up for justice in every which way he could do his fighting, and we did ours. One reason I got involved was because I was upset at the Democratic Party for what they were doing in Vietnam and with the workers and stuff like that. So I joined the Democratic Party to change it, make it better, and that's what Bobby Kennedy was asking us to do. I was able to meet Cesar and Dolores back in 65 and 66, and then Bobby Kennedy and folks like that. So it inspired me, but I was an upset young man because I had my challenges with my education and my physical challenges I had, like a lot of people. But one thing that I learned was that si se puede, and if you have an issue, you got to stand up for it and fight for it, and other people will come around and they will support you because it's our fight. They're having the same thing, and I think of most people who are come to the exhibits and the history and hopefully read the book. You guys out there can get inspired and read about normal people like us and what got us involved. And you know, when you get tired of being sprayed with chemicals and stuff, you get upset and you start to do stuff, right? When you see people's jobs being taken away because of machines, and the people are on welfare now when they were feeding their families with a paycheck, you get upset. When you get people getting beat up because they're low riding around town and they happen to have a headband, and you're just getting pulled over and harassed, you get upset. When you're getting told, hey, today's election day, go out and vote, and then they tell you, no speaking it English, no puede votar. You know, you can't vote because you don't speak English. Well, that's get you upset. So it got us involved with the young Chicanos, thanks to Cesar Chavez, Dolores, and examples of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, Malcolm X. I could go down the list of those that were assassinated, killed, and purposely taken out because they didn't want to see us doing this, especially during the Vietnam War. So it inspired a lot of young people, and we're all about the same age here. So, yeah, we are that generation that made those changes and went down in history. And the purpose of doing this is to record the individual histories of people who have sacrificed so much for so long, for so little, for so many. And we continue to do that with hardly anything. Almost can do anything now for anybody at any time, at any place. So we are a very powerful group. We don't have money, we don't have clout, you know, in terms of a title, but si se puede. So God bless you all out there.
You guys, some people that are going to see this, probably they will think that we all becoming rich because what we do, and that's going to be a big lie. Just for you guys to know, in the 70s, early 80s, the only pay that we got from the UFW, it was $5 per day per diem.
Per week, wasn't it?
Yes, that was it. Nothing else. We got problems with our own family, about money, about food, and everything else. But guess what? We enjoyed what we did, and we're still doing it. And I would like to invite the Fisher family to come and speak, please. The microphone is yours.
Yeah, poor.
She's coming.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, please.
Let's see. Well, I think I became involved when I was in college, when I heard about what was going on in Monterey County. I think that I wanted to make sure that you knew that the word of what was going on here came back to when I was at the University of Michigan. We were very, very much involved in hearing about what was going on here. And that was part of the reason I came to California, was because of all the activism here. And then I went and lived in Berkeley for many years and was active there in a lot of different causes around we were active in the Unitarian Universalist communities there, but they were also cross faith and also cross issues. So we had a lot of coalitions that were religious and secular. Together was a lot of activism at that time. We got really involved in the sanctuary movement in the mid-'80s. Bob and I were really involved at the San Francisco Church, and we got about 16 churches in the area to vote sanctuary at that time, which was very critical to the whole situation. And we were doing a lot of talking about international law, and we had refugees in the churches, we had refugees in people's homes. So that was real important for us at that point, because of all of the terror that was going on, specifically in El Salvador at that time. And of course, the farm worker issue was always a very major one, going back to the 60s, because we had great boycotts that were all over the universities, and that was a big deal in the Midwest. So what you did here really reached out and affected all of us. And we were having sit-ins and other things at the universities around all kinds of issues. So I think that gives you a sense. And then in the 70s, I came to California in the early 70s, and Bob and I met a little bit after that, and started and gotten in a relationship, which has continued since then. And you want to say something about anything about your activities at all? You were involved more in the Vietnam War stuff too.
Well, yeah, I guess the Vietnam War era was one where we saw. I attended the trials for the Catonsville Nine and the people who were protesting the war and saying that there was a higher value than what they were being charged for as breaking the law, that the criminal activity of the government became a big consciousness to many people, and so the anti-war movement was trying to coalesce with the civil rights movement and the student power movement and the women's rights movement, and all these things were coalescing so that we could go out and try to make society a better place and point out those inherent contradictions that were part of American society as being we said we were in the belly of the beast because it was the imperialism that America was showing to the world by sending troops everywhere and by trying to control the activities of nations around the world was something that we wanted to say that Americans were for peace, were for love, were for being with other people, and this could make a difference in promoting, the right values in the world. So that's
good.
That's what we that's what we were about.
Thank you. Hey, just one other brief thing. Part of it, other than our specific history, part of the struggles in the past, especially in the 60s, was the importance of history to combat and to develop our own worldview. Because if you notice, usually people on the right, and Trump seems to be the loudest advocate of their point of view, which we had to break down the history we were taught as children, that Columbus didn't discover America, that the great only rich white men counted, everybody else were peons. And, women, people of color, children, animals, everything was dispensable, and all those, and that was, and I felt, I loved history, but I realized in the 60s when I had a chance to, you did in college, you had a chance to retreat from society and study these things, you realized you were lied to. That there was a worldview that was very imperialistic, it was very patriarchal, and it was rich white guys. Even though the franchise women could vote by then, and there was some breaking down of that patriarchy and that limited sense of who was important, but it still was the ruling, the dominant paradigm, and we were able to break that down and say, hey, wait a minute. I count too. The working class built this country. It wasn't built by Rockefeller. He didn't pick up an anvil or a hammer. He didn't do jack shit. He had somehow took credit for things. Working people got no credit. And honestly, one thing, and I'll be quiet. The only monument to working people in this county is the Bracero Memorial Highway signs out on Highway 101 near Chular. There's nothing else in this whole county anywhere, prove me wrong, I want to be proved wrong, that actually say working people did exist and did something of value and are the underpinning of any economy. Right. It's not the other way around. It isn't people on Wall Street. It's people who actually build things, And that's the history that we're trying to tell, that it's a radical democratic sort of worldview and it's something that it's always in tension, to be polite, I guess, in struggle against the other worldview, which is guys like Trump are important. They run the world, and the rest of us are chumps, Yeah. And so that's part of the combat. I know people sometimes don't like struggle, but I'm sorry. It's always a struggle, always has been, always will be. It's just we have to be kind. We have to do it. Even if you develop a tumor in your bladder. You know what I mean? Anybody else?
Wes.
Wes.
No, stay right there. So basically, I'm coming down because honestly, you guys are a generation ahead of me, and I just want to say thank you for doing everything that you've done, paving the way for people like me to go ahead and raise that same voice of concern about other people, because people matter. We're not based on just one person, and that's kind of how it ends up being, is a landowner, and nobody else matters. People did the fields, they get paid minimum wage, and they get paid less than minimum wage if they can get away with it. So doing that, just when you see $8 billion, $25 billion industry in Salinas Valley alone, and nobody's making the money. Who's the one doing the work? How are they making money for you? And you're not paying them their fair share. They're the ones who are actually doing the work. They're the ones who deserve that money, not just the landowner. The landowner, sure, owns the property, did the deals, worked all the architectural stuff to get stuff done. But somebody had to do that work, actually. And you guys are sticking up for other people and seeing how other people are being done wrong, and I'm so glad that you're here, and all I want to just say is thank you. I appreciate you so very much for paving the way and showing me the light, because if people hadn't been doing this for ages before I was born, you're only like 10 years older than me, 10, 15 years older than me, but still, it's amazing that all the work that you've done has shown that path for me and people like me that just want to say that other people matter, not just the business class, not the Trumps of the world, because we're the ones doing the work, and those are the ones that should be compensated accordingly. It's amazing to me that there's such a classist society still. 2015, we're still stuck in this era, and it blows me away that with everything with video and everything else, you can't deny this kind of stuff anymore. And that's everyone you see on the Republican side, and then everyone you see on the Democrat side now is doing the same thing. You got Republican in a pantsuit. I mean, it's just my, of course I'm pro Bernie, but it is power to the people, and that's exactly what you guys are behind, and that's what really strikes a chord with me. And the Voting Rights Act of '65, and Joaquin Avila, and Jesse Sanchez, and people that have just paved the way to make sure that other people matter, not just people that are stuck in their neighbors and they're just down the street. Power needs to be disseminated, and everybody is equal, and everybody deserves a right to have some power, and some say over how their life is administered. So I'm just so very grateful to you all for being here and paving the way for the way things are. And I know we got a lot more to go, and thank you very much for doing what you've done.
Thank you, Ed.
I really appreciate what you just say, but let me tell you one thing, and I think I want to be speaking from all of us. We did it because we love it. No money involved, no interest by our own. Make people happy, help people, and get it done. So convey that message to everybody that's going to be listening to this, and tell them everybody can do it. All they have to do is they're willing to do it. We will be happy to keep doing it until we die. That's it. And thank you for your words.
Yeah, and I also want to say, you did, you're doing well with your presence here and your support, and you've been doing it in different places, Wes. So you're the kind of folks that we want to see come out of our efforts is folks like you, because you guys are going to record the history. You're going to make sure that things are done. You're going to write your own books. You're going to do your own documentaries. You're going to do stuff that we wish we could have done and should have done back with our grandparents and stuff, but they're all gone now. Is your generation that's going to just look at our stuff and just say, well, this is a good start. Let's move forward with what has been done thus far. The foundation's there. We just got to build on it. And it's folks like you that are going to make that happen, Wes.
You said you are very happy to meet us. Guess what? We're happier than you are.
May we just say a message to anybody who's listening to this or ever listens to it. Please ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Women in America, we are like one of the very few first world countries where women do not have equal rights. I mean, now we're making 78 cents instead of 59 cents an hour, but that won't do. So, Michelle and Barack, if you ever see this, please ratify the ERA. Thank you.
Right on.